28. Samantha's revenge. My Kingfisher Daisy looked a bit miserable when I left for school, me and it both. I was in a sort of bubble all morning, feeling cut off from everybody and full of anger. If Jack was right and there was a good reason why Samantha was such a total B, I didn't care. I still wanted to push her face out of the back of her head. Fortunately, she wasn't in school for registration, and someone said she was sick. When I realized Colin Driver wasn't in school again either, I began to panic. During the first 2 sessions, which were English with Miss Dove, and all the stuff about Mam and Jack's dad kept chasing me around in my head like some internal demon, so I couldn't concentrate at all. How could she have cared about his dad and then treated Jack as if he were a freak? It didn't make any sense to me. What was she frightened of? I was so shocked by her secrets and lies and couldn't understand her behavior and not really considering my feelings over Anthony. Maybe she would just say the same about me deceiving her, but I was protecting Jack. And who was she protecting except herself? There was no way I could pretend I didn't know about it because I was sure it would show on my face the very next time I saw her. Whichever way I looked at it, I knew it had to come out. Miss Duff kept me behind at the end of the lesson and wanted to know if I was all right again. When lunch break came and there was still no sign of Samantha or Colin, the dead cat climbed back inside my throat and it legged it for home. I wanted to call on Jack first, but when I got to the end of the street, I could see 2 men at his front door, and they didn't look like salesmen or the Bible Brigade. I watched from behind a hedge and saw them knock and try to open the front and back doors of the house, and then wander over the garden before returning to their car. But they didn't drive off, they just sat there waiting. Then I realized they might be from the insurance company, and a ripple of heat up my spine told me this was not good news. I desperately wanted to warn Jack about them, but I couldn't risk being seen when I wasn't sure who they were, and anyway, I guessed he'd been down in the palace, and he was always very cautious when he came out of there. Back home, something was wrong. I knew as soon as I opened the door. The place should have been empty with Mam at work and Anthony gone to wherever he goes, but it wasn't. They were both there, and they looked like trouble. "Holly, OMG, Mam said. Where have you been? We've been phoning the school, and they've been looking all over for you. We were so worried. Where have you been?" "I had a headache. I just wanted to come home for a rest," I lied. Anthony's eyes felt like they were turning me inside out. "You should have told someone you were coming home." All right. What's the panic all of a sudden?" Anthony put his hand on Mam's arm. "I think we should all sit down, don't you?" he said. Mam nodded and made to put her arm around me, but I pulled away. I felt as if there was suddenly no air in the room, like I could hardly breathe, and I was frightened. Why are they both here? What was going on? "Why aren't you at work?" I asked. "Anthony's right, Holly. We should sit down, and then we can talk." "What about? About why I nipped home from school in my lunch break? What's all the fuss about? I've done it before. Things were not looking good." "No, Holly, not that. Come sit down," Mem said. There was something in her voice that knocked me sideways, and I let her lead me to the sofa. "I don't want you to be frightened. We're not angry. We're just concerned, and we need you to be truthful with us." I didn't like the royal "we" at all. It was like she'd suddenly become half a person. "I'd rather talk to you on my own," I said, and to my surprise, Anthony just nodded at Mam and went off into the kitchen. That's when I knew I was deep in trouble. "This is not a game, Holly. It's very important, right?" "Now, I know all kids keep things from their parents for all sorts of reasons, and most of the time that's all right," she said before I interrupted her. "And parents keep things from kids as well," I said pointedly. I knew Samantha must have said something about me and Jack. "Yes, they do, but often that's for good reasons. I have reasons. Look, Holly, I don't want this to turn into an argument. There are some things which shouldn't be kept secret, and some things can get out of hand," and she was beginning to struggle for words, and I had the urge to say, "Just get to the point." But what I wanted most of all was to be on my own so I could go and see Jack and warn him about the 2 men. "I want to go to my room," I said. "I'm tired. I want to lie down. Can we talk later?" "No, Holly, we have to do it now. I know it's all connected with why you haven't been in school." "What is?" "Look, I've told you not to go into Pard's Wood without me or another adult, haven't I?" "I don't go without an adult." "Samantha says you do. She says she's seen you there." "She's a liar. Ask anybody at school. She's always at it." "Holly, she says she's seen you there with Jack Plum. She says you go and visit him all the time." "She's trying to cause trouble as usual. She exaggerates everything. She's a bee and I effing hate her." "Holly, stop it. Just calm down and listen." She held up my flute book. It was open at the page where I'd practiced Miss Plum's signature. "What's this all about?" she asked. I didn't respond. I couldn't think of a convincing lie. "Samantha said," Mam went on, but I cut her off. "She's a liar, I've told you." I was thinking of spilling the beans about Samantha and her dad, but I realized I only had Jack's say on that. Part of me was hoping I still might bluff my way through. But I hadn't bargained for the rest of what Ma'am had to say. Samantha is very upset, Holly. She says Jack Plum takes his clothes off. No, that's not true. She's the one who wanted him to. I stopped because I knew I'd blown it, and I knew I had to get out of the house. If Samantha was saying stuff like that about Jack, all H was going to break loose. The walls of the room appeared to be closing in on me. The sound of Anthony making tea in the kitchen was coming at my ears from the end of a long tunnel. You were there then, Ma'am said. Why did you lie about it? I didn't reply. He hurt Colin Driver very badly, Holly, and I want to know there was no point in lying anymore. The crap had already hit the fan. Sweat crawled down my back, and my lips began to tremble as I shouted, Colin Driver deserved to be hurt. In fact, I'd like to bang his head on the wall till it bleeds. If you'd seen what him and his gang did... Holly, you're not making sense. Samantha's hurt. The doctor says, well, he says she's got bruises all over her back and legs, and she's been sexually assaulted. Nan's words boomed around the room. Sexually assaulted. Oh, Jack was right then. She fell off Freya's back. That's how she got the bruises. Freya? Who's Freya? Holly, please tell me. Has Jack Plum hurt you too, like he has Samantha? Jack didn't hurt Samantha. He would never ever do that. I told you, she's lying. She's effing lying. Maybe she has been sexually assaulted, but not by Jack. Suddenly I became clammy all over, getting in a major panic about Jack and what those men might be doing. When I tried to stand up, my legs felt like sponges. Ma'am rushed over and put her arms around me. Holly, I need to know you're all right. I pulled away from her. I'm perfectly all right, but you're not listening to me. What's the point of talking to you? Jack hasn't hurt me or Samantha. He wouldn't. And talking of secrets, why didn't you tell me about you and Jack's dad? I waited as her face suddenly flushed up. She didn't know how to react. There she was telling me off for being secretive, and here I was catching her out at the same thing. It was as if I could read her thoughts on her face. She was wondering if I would have it all turned out differently, if she'd been honest with me when I first asked her about Jack Plum, and maybe it would have. Her voice was quiet and hesitant when she finally spoke. She admitted she'd been friends with Mr. Plum, and I could tell it had been important to her, and of course he died at the height of that friendship. I wanted to throw my arms around her and tell her how it could all be sorted out and that Jack could be saved as she supported him, but before I could move or speak, she destroyed the moment by continuing to see him as the problem. That was a long time ago, Holly. Who knows what Jack's capable of now? I stood up to interrupt her this time. Jack Plum is kind and gentle and clever, and you made me think he was a freak. I moved to the hall door. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm going to lie down. Once I was through the door, I bolted for my room and barricaded myself in and checked the back lane before climbing out of my window, praying that Jack would be okay, and so focused on getting to him, I didn't see Colin lurking in the gateway until he stepped out in front of me. Where are you going? He asked. None of your business. Get out of my way. If you're looking for the freak, he's gone. We broke in. The place is empty. You're disgusting. Do you know that? You've got no right to call him a freak and no right to break into his house. And what if he did to you and Samantha? That's all lies. She says, I don't give a F what she says. I was there. Jack never laid a finger on her or me. But you can tell her that I'm really going to hurt her when I see her for all the trouble she's caused. I pushed Colin out of my way. He didn't resist. His whole body had slumped, as if my words had really got through to him. I felt a rush of sympathy, but I didn't have time to do anything about it. I walked away slowly and at the corner of Jack's garden turned to make sure Colin couldn't see me. The men in the car had come from outside the house, one less problem to worry about. I crept into the garden, checking carefully at the time in case anyone was watching me, and as I approached the entrance to the palace, something very cold seemed to cling to me for a moment. 29. Time to go. When Holly does come, finally, eyes half lying up on the hay. All the pigs is close by and in full stillness. She makes immediate notice of changes within me and takes fear upon her. I tell her how some men came, hammer, hammer, on the up doors with big shouts, wanting Ma'am, and I say how I did know of their coming early times and how I did guess on it. Then pig boys come also, to lash brickstones on the up windows, stamp about up steps, and call it the freak to show. I beg explanation. It is the ending of the palace. What time is run off complete. No, Jack, listen. We can tell them the truth. Ma'am knows I've been with you now, and that I know about her and your dad. She'll have to listen to me and make them listen. We can stop all this. You can live with the pigs. I tell how she must not put the fight up, as I have knowledge of the ending. They want me for the damage of Samantha that was in the pig boy shouts. The damaging is much real, as I tell before times, and the freak must have the blaming of it. It is the outside world way. They know freaks by the shape of their face and body and ability with words and such. That is what they believe. The kitty pigs is only listened at if the picture is agreeing with the adult pig views. I say how decisions is made up already, and the big stones what will crush the palace is rolling fast at us. I say how I did plan on this departing much before it is the proper undertaking that I have done difficult thing to ask from her. I make fast words, fearful that my senses will depart me, and Holly is much troubled at this. Jack, please don't let him drive you away. Please, I couldn't stand it. You're my friend, my best friend. Salt water flows off her eyes, and her small body lunges with sobs and anger. I tell her the full truth of my plan, of swallowing the morphine, and the pigs are in knowing of coming events. Then in soonest time we must take the tracks of the old buyer, the farmer Cotton, all pigs, me and her, and all along the way I will swallow up the full of the paracetamols and morphines. Holly's eyes get swimming of tears, and her mouth makes big tremors. No, Jack, no, you can't do that. Let me get the doctor, please. This I want, Holly. It is my true wishing. I do not want to be attached to the outside world. There is no trusting in it for me, no good future time. You is my best friend, and I ask you to take my wish up. I did make thoughts on Hogman resurrection stuff, as the 7 magic pigs, what is in the story of the King of Golden Pillars. These pigs' bones was laid in full energy sun one day from death time, and come the cusp of day to night time, their souls did come into new pigs to get another birthing. But time is extreme shortening on us, and cannot fulfill that. There is no place back from this, Holly, not for me, not for you. Believe it, please, before it is too late for escape. She shudders some more big sobs and wipes off the snot and tears up on her sleeve and hugs close into me. I feel the quavering within her, the hotness up on her head. Freya does snort deep. It is warning. Danger will be coming. Freya is telling Holly. Time does run off. She pulls softly from me, and I gather her consent to take acceptance of my plans within her iMessage, and I do understand how it means she is in more learning of the nature of outside world people than before times. When I is full dead, Holly, you will tell of Freya the time is come for the eating of that body, what is then without soul, and I will be forever in and within the pigs. That is the way me pigs shall not get parted off. It is only one way can be. You must be total freed of the freak connection. Will you do of that thing? I go to silence, and then for her to have thought time. When she remains unspeaking, I have fear. I ask 2 big things of her. Is this watching of my dying an awful request, Holly? She shakes head very slow and presses her 2 lips hard as to prevent more sobs. I don't want to lose you, Jack, she tells. I am in knowing of that, Holly, and I is built up of gloom of the losing you, but I did dwell upon this long times, and it is full right way. Will you still be with us and make the watching for me and for the pigs, and after take us to the pig fields to mix and moulder with Farmer Cotton's tribe, where Nodger will make ease of the coming? She nods slow. She is too trembling to make up words, and up above we hear more swash noise and more stomp and shout, so we horde to Piggate in the silent fright way. I am wobbly on the feet, and I take a wood plank for a stick to balance, and we struggle off all in close together, as a tribe should be. We reach to the edges of Pard's wood with no incidents. The trees lean at me and give tender touches as if knowing what is becoming, and Holly makes more sobs, and the pigs give beast snortings in their rage at human pig kind. Freya and tribe know that their younglings is ate by them, and that their flesh is made use in other ways. It is within pig memory and is passed on always. I think maybe I really is half hog, and I see pig world as home place and pig sense as my own. I do have belief that the possession of tale for the telling of inside emotionals is much more of truth in the smile of human pigs, what can be pretend false. The tail move is never pretend, it is deep down instinct reactions to within feelings. I am in full weakness at coming into the byre and drop to the ground with easiness. Holly makes gasps and sighs as she will bring on massive hurting sobs to herself, but I point for the sky which is spoonful and brimming of stars what do spangle. Are you really sure about this, Jack? Holly says. I can get to a phone quickly at Farmer Cotton's and have an ambulance here in no time, and we can show all those who want to hurt you what kind and clever person you really are. Why should you die, Jack? Why should I lose you? They're the bad ones. Time for acceptances, I tell. It is soon the time for me to go within my pigs. And you must become something, Holly, for me. You must grab at the world, go out into it, give it your brightness and cleverness and your ability to give love. Make huge plannings, Holly, make massive adventurings. My soul thing will be all round, always, filled up with the proudness of what you will become in that outside world. Do it for me and for pigs everywhere, and for Holly, do not be extreme harsh at Samantha. She is filled with pain, and she will need you to give her wisdom on all this. Holly does look away, and I asks again, and get one small nod. My life starts to be sucked from out me like a worn-out balloon, and I must drop all limbs into dark nothingness. Even my words is losing the breath. Goodbye, brother and sister pigs. Goodbye, Holly. I love you all.